You ever stumble across an artist who's clearly brilliant? Their work is highly sought after, yet they themselves remain shrouded in a bit of mystery.
Oh, definitely.
That's how I felt diving into the world of Bob Camblin. It's like encountering um, a whisper of something profound.
Absolutely. Camblin operates in that really fascinating space, doesn't he? Where his artistic output got serious respect from peers, a dedicated collector base.
Right.
Yet he intentionally maintained a certain distance, an elusiveness. It just adds to the intrigue.
He's been called a mystical trickster figure, which honestly feels spot on.
Yeah.
You look at the sheer variety of his work: oils, acrylics, watercolors, drawings, prints.
Even painted paper. It's incredibly diverse.
It is. Yet actually finding a Camblin piece seems like a rare treat, and when one surfaces, it's apparently almost instantly gone.
That scarcity definitely contributes to that almost mythical status he holds. And it makes our deep dive today all the more compelling, especially for you. You've gathered a really rich collection here. His personal writings, insights into his life, even analysis of specific artworks.
Yeah.
So our goal is really to navigate through these and sort of extract the essential elements of Camblin's unique artistic vision, the fundamental way he perceived the world.
Exactly. You mentioned wanting to grasp the core of his work without getting bogged down in overwhelming detail.
Right.
That's precisely what we're aiming for. We're going to focus on the key ideas that emerge from his own words, the stories around him, hoping to spark those aha moments, those moments of clear insight.
Good plan.
We have his collected quotes, which are amazing, a detailed biography, a really fascinating discussion about his painting forest prints,
Oh, interesting.
and excerpts from several books featuring his art and reviews. Things like Zen and the Art of Enlightenment and the Art of Everything, plus a great quote from his friend Earl Staley.
Okay, wow. A truly comprehensive set of sources. So with all this material, where do you think we should start to unravel the essence of Bob Camblin?
I was immediately struck by his quotes. They're like these little concentrated doses of his worldview.
Okay.
Take this one just to start. Fortunately, some things remain forever, or another 10 years perhaps.
Right away, there's that wryness.
Exactly. There's this immediate acknowledgement of how fleeting even the seemingly permanent can be. It sets a tone, doesn't it?
It really does. That awareness of the transient nature of existence seems foundational for him.
Yeah.
Consider this related observation he makes. 3 cottonwood trees, dense cluster of new branches, now with them gone. Look. There's that clear recognition of loss, sure, but that abrupt look. It signals a shift, doesn't it? A potential for finding new meaning or beauty in what remains, or maybe even in the absence itself.
So a key insight right there seems to be Campbell's profound awareness of impermanence.
Right. But not necessarily as something sad, more like an inherent characteristic of reality,
Sure.
something to be keenly observed.
It's like he's just constantly attuned to that ephemeral beauty, the continuous cycle of change around him.
Exactly.
And then you get these quotes where he starts bridging gaps between, seemingly disparate fields like science and magic. He muses, look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both.
What's particularly interesting there is his drive to discover what he calls a perfectly average viewpoint.
Right, perfectly average.
As a way to fully appreciate the wonders on both sides of that perceived divide. His intention isn't really to choose one over the other,
No.
but to acknowledge the value and the mystery in both the scientific realm and the magical realm. It suggests this desire to unify different ways of understanding.
Exactly. He's comfortable navigating paradox, which leads into intuition. He defines the sixth sense as simply being, without a doubt, senza dubio.
That's a powerful way to frame it, isn't it? Intuition not as some vague feeling, but as a state of absolute certainty.
Yeah.
It implies this deep-seated trust in one's own inner knowing, a conviction that goes beyond logical proof.
Tapping into a different level of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get these glimpses into his personal longings. Bright day and I soar, how cruel that my soul is attached to this earth, and yet...
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can feel that tension.
Totally. This pull between wanting something beyond the physical and the undeniable reality of, being here on Earth.
That internal push and pull feels so fundamentally human, doesn't it?
It does.
Feeling rooted, yet yearning for something more, something transcendent. And it connects with this quote about inner honesty, too.
Which one was that?
I cannot tell a lie to myself for very long. It suggests this fundamental commitment to self-awareness, to truthfulness as a starting point.
Ah, right. And it's the second part of that same quote is crucial. Find something in nature that completes you and then surrender.
Yes, that feels like a core principle.
It really does. Establish a deep connection with nature and then let go. Almost like a pathway to that inner truth he's talking about.
That concept of surrender, it pops up in so many traditions.
Right.
It signifies relinquishing control, trusting in something larger than oneself. For Camblin, it seems intrinsically linked to finding harmony, that sense of completeness within the natural world. Like nature holds the key.
Nature as the key. Okay.
Yeah.
He also explores the interplay of belief, action, and balance. This quote's a bit longer. The light is all you need. The end is to evolve by doing the best you can. The means is to amplify what you're doing and believe in the balance. Patience and yet. Freedom again and yet in silence.
It's almost like a personal manifesto, isn't it?
Yeah.
This blend of purposeful action, belief, the necessity of patience, that yearning for freedom, and the power of stillness.
And yet.
Right, the repeated and yet
Yeah.
emphasizes it's an ongoing process, a dynamic equilibrium he's describing, not some static point of rest. It suggests a constant recalibration is needed to maintain that balance.
That makes sense. And think about this evolution in his view on art's purpose. He says it shifted from art for art's sake toward art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake. That seems like a really significant shift in his philosophy.
Oh, absolutely. It speaks to a deepening personal investment, an urgency in his creative work.
Right.
It moves beyond just aesthetics to something deeply connected to his own existence, maybe even a broader human imperative. It suggests art became less of a detached exercise and more of an essential act for him.
An essential act. I like that. Then there's this wonderfully iconoclastic piece of advice. Step off the train of thought. To find the power that is no power. To do the work that is not work. To laugh the true laugh, bending is not bowing.
That really encapsulates his unconventional approach, doesn't it? It's about intentionally disrupting our habitual, linear thinking to access a different kind of power, maybe more intuitive, less forceful.
Yeah.
And that image, bending is not bowing, is particularly resonant. It suggests resilience, maintaining integrity even when facing pressure.
And this stark contrast he draws. When you think, don't act. When you act, don't think.
What do you make of that?
It highlights the importance of being fully present, I think.
Yeah.
And whichever mode you're in. Avoid overthinking when action's needed, and vice versa.
It could be interpreted as a call for mindfulness, maybe? A focused awareness on the task at hand, whether that's reflection or action, without the interference of the other.
Yeah, that fits. He finds such profound wonder in the everyday, too, like this. The cosmos waves as me with tree leaves, sun-heated air moves across the electrons of my skin. Sunlight reflects those greens. First white, then yellow-green, and a deep shadow's blue.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's incredibly sensory, almost scientifically poetic, isn't it, for a seemingly ordinary moment?
Exactly.
It's a perfect example of finding the extraordinary in the ordinary, paying such close attention that the mundane just transforms into something miraculous. That connection he makes, personal and cosmic, in such a simple observation is pretty remarkable.
And then there's this incredibly private statement. There is one joy that exceeds all other, and that's all I'll say.
Ooh. Intriguing.
Right. It immediately sparks curiosity. What was that unspeakable joy?
The fact that he chooses not to elaborate just amplifies its power, doesn't it?
Totally.
Suggests an experience so profound, so personal, it just transcends the need for words.
He also offers some really thought-provoking ideas on communication. If you argue or if you agree, you may learn, but you do not communicate.
That makes you pause.
It really does. Makes you reconsider the true purpose and depth of dialogue.
It implies that genuine communication goes beyond just exchanging information or, reaching consensus.
Right.
It suggests a deeper level of understanding, a connection is required, something that arguing or even just agreeing might not actually achieve.
And his distinction between revolution and evolution is fascinating too.
How so?
He sees revolution as stemming from misunderstanding, while evolution comes from understanding. And the crucial balance is found within our individual minds.
Okay, so that suggests a preference for gradual internal transformation over sudden external upheaval.
Seems like it.
For Camblin, true, lasting change seems to originate from that shift in individual understanding, not imposed societal shifts.
He has this beautiful way of connecting us to nature through simple observations too. Like, there, beneath those rocks, poor fish, trapped by the changing tides. So much like us.
Wow, yeah. That fleeting image of a stranded fish becomes this powerful metaphor for the human condition. That ability to see reflections of our own experiences, our vulnerabilities, in the natural world, that's a hallmark of keen insight. Speaks to that fundamental interconnectedness.
Even in aging, he finds this poignant beauty. This strange mirror, bright face cupped between my hands makes me seem so young.
There's a gentle acceptance there, maybe. A touch of wistful reflection. It's that fleeting moment of self-awareness, recognizing the contrast between his inner perception and his physical appearance, acknowledging the subjective nature of time, maybe?
And then this almost Zen-like pronouncement. This egg in brown leaves has a great secret of mine, that nothing changes.
So paradoxical, isn't it?
Totally.
The paradox is likely the point, though. On one level, everything's in constant flux, but on another, maybe the fundamental essence, the underlying principles, remain constant.
A meditation on impermanence and enduring truth.
Exactly.
Even his reflections on what you might call artistic failures have a certain charm. This dragon never lived on paper or flowers? Well, perhaps next time.
Right. There's a playful acceptance there, limitations of imagination, the ongoing nature of the creative process.
Yeah.
It hints at a lack of rigid attachment to outcomes in his art, a willingness to keep exploring without being discouraged by perceived setbacks. It's about the journey.
The journey of creation. Okay, he challenges our perceptions directly with this one.
Yeah.
White is light, black is absence of light, but people are seen.
Yeah, that highlights the complex, often illogical ways we categorize and understand things, doesn't it?
It really does.
Draws attention to social and cultural constructs shaping our understanding, contrasting simple scientific definitions with the much more nuanced, subjective ways we perceive and categorize people.
And then this wonderful direct address. Well, that's enough about me, Mother Nature. Let's talk about you. What did you think of my last picture?
I love that. It's so wonderfully humble.
Isn't it?
It suggests this deep, ongoing dialogue he had with the natural world as a source of inspiration, maybe even judgment.
Yeah.
It personifies nature as an active participant, a collaborator of sorts. Shows a charming self-awareness, a touch of playful humor in his relationship with his art and the world.
Even something mundane like arguing pales in comparison. Much better than arguing is to look at my watercolor palette.
A simple statement, but speaks volumes about his priorities, right?
Totally.
Underscores the satisfaction, the peace he found in creating, positioning it as way more rewarding than unproductive conflict.
And this quote really gets to the heart of his independent spirit. Religion, belief. If I believe in ghosts, I don't have to see one. If I believe it's art, then it is. If I believe that I am completely thunder, then I can't be convinced I'm not.
It's all about the power of internal conviction over external validation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Emphasizes the subjective nature of belief, the immense power of self-perception. If you hold a belief with true conviction, that belief shapes your reality, at least personally, experientially. He even uses a physical analogy for balance. Resist and submit held in perfect balance. Figure 4.
Figure 4, like the wrestling hold.
I think so. It's such a concise visual way to show opposing forces in equilibrium.
It adds an unexpected, maybe slightly humorous dimension to that balance between resistance and surrender. Makes the abstract tangible.
And then this wonderfully succinct observation. When understood, all truth is funny.
What do you think he means by that?
Maybe it suggests a certain lightness, a detachment that comes with deeper comprehension. Interesting. It implies that the anxieties, the overly serious way we often approach reality, might just dissolve into humor when viewed from a broader, more enlightened perspective.
Yeah, maybe. He circles back to the creative process with this reminder. Don't let the demon of being right get in. Flow and think of what you are doing, not what you plan to do. Step off the train of thought.
It's all about being fully present in the act of creation, right? Letting go of rigid expectations, the need to be correct.
Exactly.
A powerful reminder that creativity often flourishes when we're fully immersed in the now, unburdened by needing a specific outcome or fearing being wrong, trusting the process.
And he makes a clear distinction between believing and knowing.
How so?
Especially for those who've had mystical experiences that, transcend logic. Emphasizing the need for harmony between intuition and reason.
Right. Highlighting the limits of purely rational thought for certain kinds of understanding. For Camblin, interin offers a complementary, equally valid path to knowledge, especially in the mystical realm.
He even defines art in terms of lived experience, not just description.
Okay.
Drawing a parallel to love and cautioning against confusing superficial sensations with real artistic engagement.
It underscores the importance of a direct, personal encounter with art then, suggesting its true meaning, its impact, can't be fully conveyed through analysis alone, much like love, really.
And this intriguing idea of finding one's own mystic switch,
Yeah, what's that about?
that visceral or intuitive trigger for truth, which is personal and ever-changing, alongside the emphasis on the creative process itself being more significant than the result, even embracing failure as part of it.
That notion of a personal mystic switch is fascinating, like an internal compass guiding you towards authentic understanding, even if that understanding is subjective and evolves.
Right.
And the emphasis on the journey over destination, that's a recurring theme in art and spiritual disciplines.
He connects writing back to its origins in visual nonverbal communication, suggesting our logical, linear syntax can sometimes restrict nonlinear concepts. And he stresses the importance of recreation in art, like a return to that original, more intuitive expression.
Interesting. It speaks to the power of visual language, maybe, and how structured written language might sometimes limit more holistic or intuitive thought. Recreation implies renewing that primal connection.
And the concept of the Ze and mind in creativity. Yeah, where our focused, rational mind coexists with this natural flowing awareness that allows hunches, inspirations to emerge almost magically.
Ah, okay. That aligns with Eastern concepts like effortless action or wu-wei, where creativity arises from a state of relaxed yet focused awareness, allowing unexpected insights to surface organically.
He urges us to resist mere learning
Resist learning. How so?
in favor of a deeper, more holistic engagement, learning to fail, to relax, to truly feel, to really think, suggesting genuine understanding goes way beyond just acquiring information.
It's a call for a more embodied, experiential approach, then, involving not just intellect, but emotional engagement, intuitive awareness, willingness to learn from mistakes.
And this beautiful, simple idea, everyone is a mirror to each other, and in that reflection lies a kind of magic.
That suggests a deep interconnectedness, the profound idea that we gain insights into ourselves through our interactions, our relationships.
Yeah.
And the inclusion of laughter emphasizes that joyful recognition of shared humanity.
He makes a crucial distinction between magic for power, which he views negatively,
Right.
and magic for seeing, which he sees as positive, leading to deeper understanding, connecting to timeless aspects of life, not just cultural trends.
That highlights his ethical framework.
Yeah.
Suggests the true value of the mystical isn't in control or manipulation, but in its capacity to expand perception, connect us to something more profound, enduring.
And the intriguing idea of real seeing having its own inherent quality of deception. Yeah, becoming this complex web of interconnected relationships. And that art offers a partial glimpse, a way to fool the eye, fool the mind.
Interesting. It speaks to the subjective, often elusive nature of perception, suggesting what we see isn't always a straightforward reflection of reality.
Right.
Art, in that sense, becomes a tool for playing with perceptions, revealing deeper truths through illusion.
He even touches on the artist's dilemma in a culture that often prioritizes novelty over substance,
Oh, yeah.
where the artist feels pressured to constantly reinvent their technique to keep viewer interest. And anonymity offers a potential escape, a freedom.
That's a remarkably insightful commentary on the pressures of the contemporary art world, the challenges artists face balancing creative vision with market demands, anonymity as liberation that's thought-provoking.
He echoed the symbolist's belief that explaining something often diminishes its essence,
Right.
lamenting the paradox of communication, how wonderful, yet ultimately limiting it can be.
Acknowledges the inherent limitations of language in fully capturing the emotional, intuitive impact of art. Suggests analysis can sometimes detract from the direct experience.
He recognized the long-term uncertainty of how art is received, too, accepting that even something he might see as shallow in his own time could deeply resonate with audiences later.
Demonstrates a long-term perspective, an understanding that art's meaning isn't fixed but evolves, gets reinterpreted across generations in unpredictable ways.
He even finds valuable lessons in mistakes,
How so?
viewing them as essential feedback, guiding us to trust our instincts.
Reframes errors not as failures, but as crucial learning opportunities, a natural part of the creative process, encouraging a more intuitive approach.
He offers a uniquely Camblin-esque take on pride and downfall, too.
Oh yeah, different from the usual.
Suggests a more cyclical, less linear relationship. His inversion of the traditional saying that loss of pride can also lead to a fall, and the fall itself can breed either loss or excess of pride.
Ah, that's wonderfully nuanced. A less judgmental take on human nature.
Yeah. He uses the powerful analogy of arguing fragments of a hologram
Hollow.
to illustrate the importance of collaboration, seeing the bigger picture for true understanding.
That's a compelling metaphor. Highlights the limits of narrow perspectives and the potential for much richer understanding when we cooperate, share viewpoints.
He embraces the idea of a holographic reality, suggesting that as we connect, come together, the whole message becomes clearer.
Speaks to the power of interconnectedness, the idea that reality isn't just isolated parts, but a unified whole, best understood through collective awareness.
He presents different ways of perceiving the universe, even suggesting solipsism isn't necessarily madness, but maybe a misunderstanding of a larger interconnected reality.
Shows a remarkably open-minded approach to different philosophical perspectives, even seemingly radical ones.
He beautifully links our awareness of history to our experience of past, present, and future.
Okay.
Proposing our shared purpose is to dream of how it works and contribute our unique voices to the universal harmony.
Emphasizes context, a sense of shared human inquiry, suggesting our individual lives are part of a larger ongoing exploration of existence.
He even speaks of time travel at the speed of enlightenment,
Wow, that's an evocative phrase.
isn't it?
A poetic way of suggesting profound insight can transcend linear time, offer a different kind of access to truth.
He contrasts the approaches to the hawk and the snake to life
Okay.
and acknowledges the complex, often paradoxical nature of the path of least resistance for humans.
Shows an understanding of different life strategies and the unique psychological complexities influencing human choices about efficiency versus effort.
He views existence as a continuous cycle, beginning, end, and the necessity of action linking past to future.
Underscores the dynamic, interconnected nature of time. Each moment is both a culmination and a precursor, requiring active engagement.
He makes the subtle point that some crutches are wooden, some are gold,
Meaning.
acknowledging that the supports we rely on can be both basic and profoundly valuable.
Suggests the things we lean on, literally or metaphorically, can vary greatly in apparent value but still serve essential functions.
He dismisses the internal conflict between futility and provocation, urging us to embrace freedom and carefree idleness, dolce far niente.
Advocates for releasing unnecessary internal struggles, recognizing the value in simply being present, unburdened.
He uses the powerful image of a phoenix trapped in a salty shell, awaiting a transformative fire.
Ooh, a potent metaphor for potential lying dormant, waiting for the right catalyst for rebirth, renewal.
He finds the true meaning of life not in the final revelation, but in the living itself,
How does he put it?
describing the ultimate answer as an empty ribcage full of sand, while the living was the meaning.
Wow, that's profound. Emphasizes the journey over the destination. The value of life lies in the experiences, not some ultimate endpoint.
And finally, he concludes with this vast cosmic perspective,
Okay.
envisioning the universe folding back on itself in billions of years, with him and a bird patiently awaiting that grand cosmic pulse.
That's a breathtakingly expansive view. Places our individual existence within an immense cosmic timeline, suggests a deep connection to something far beyond our immediate grasp and a sense of enduring patience.
Just exploring those quotes gives you such a powerful sense of his unique, multifaceted worldview, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's like a personal philosophy expressed through these wonderfully concise, often poetic observations.
Absolutely. And when you weave in the details of his life from the biography, it adds even more depth.
Right.
Born in Oklahoma, 1928, formal training at Kansas City Art Institute. Then that significant early opportunity, the Fulbright, to Italy.
Yeah, exposing him to European art traditions.
And he wasn't just a student, he spent considerable time teaching, too. Ringling, Universities of Illinois, Detroit, Utah, even Rice University.
So he was clearly engaged with the academic art world for a big chunk of his career.
Yes, but then that really pivotal moment in 1976.
What happened then?
He makes the deliberate choice to leave academia, embrace a more nomadic existence entirely dedicated to his art. Traveling extensively, supporting himself through sales, commissions that speaks to a profound commitment to his path. Maybe a rejection of conventional structures. Echoes that quote about stepping off the train of thought.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the books highlighted focuses on these very personal drawings and reflections from 1950 to 74. Work never meant for public view.
Right. That must offer an incredibly intimate, unfiltered glimpse into how his ideas and practice developed.
You'd think so.
Exactly. Suggests a deep well of personal contemplation, exploration that formed the foundation for his more public work. The biography also notes his art often transcended traditional criticism, commercial concerns, aiming for a more direct personal connection with the viewer.
And it's interesting how critics saw his evolution.
Yeah.
Charlotte Moser noted a shift from intricate drawings to more organic forms. Eleanor Freed emphasized his fascination with life cycles.
Right.
And the text's overview acknowledged his distinctive blend of drawing and watercolor.
That artistic journey is really significant, starting with abstract impressionism, then pioneering his Mouches Volantes style in the 70s.
Right, inspired by Dada and surrealism, those dots and dashes creating optical illusions.
It demonstrates that constant spirit of experimentation, a willingness to push beyond established boundaries.
And collaboration seems to have been really vital for him.
Especially in Houston, it sounds like, with Earl Staley, Joe Tate, B&E Productions, the holding firm, creating collaborative events, exhibitions.
Sounds like a very dynamic, intellectually stimulating community.
Their shared emphasis on the creative process, sometimes even over the finished product, was pretty forward-thinking for the time.
Yeah.
And the fact that Camblin often signed works anonymous really underscores that belief in submerging the individual ego in the collective creative effort.
The Mouches Volantes even evolved further, collaborating with Nancy Giordano in the 80s, continuing that optical exploration. And then his later works, like the Big Owl series, Descent from the Cross, showcase his mastery of both technique and symbolism.
His lasting impact, as a biography suggests, really lies in that unwavering dedication to both the craft of art and the spirit of innovation, inspiring many contemporary artists.
Which brings us to Forrest Prince. This artwork sounds amazing. Described as this ethereal vision, embodying enlightenment, devotion, transcendence.
Visually, it sounds quite striking. The central figure, flowing beard, gives an immediate impression of wisdom, almost a saintly presence. Draws you in.
And that radiant golden heart at the center, within that architectural framework. Such a powerful focal point, symbolizing divine love, maybe structured celestial guidance.
That juxtaposition, organic radiance, geometric structure seems key. Suggests that while love, the divine, might seem intangible, they also possess an underlying order, perhaps built through faith, dedicated practice, like one excerpt suggested.
Then there's that beam of pure white light piercing through the figure's eyes.
Right. The YouTube discussion describes it as an ecstatic moment of profound realization, a direct connection between material and immaterial, earthly and divine.
Exactly. Viewed through a Zen lens, this could be that flash of Satori.
The dissolving of the ego, revealing inner truth. The light isn't external, imposed, but illuminating from within.
And the heart aligning with the Zen idea of mind and heart, kodo being one, suggests enlightenment isn't just intellectual, it's deeply felt, involving love, compassion.
What's particularly insightful is the connection drawn to the I Ching.
Oh, yeah.
Hexagram 50, the ding or cauldron, symbolizing transformation, nourishment, spiritual refinement, a clear parallel to the figure's journey.
Okay.
And hexagram 30, Li or fire, representing illumination, clarity, spreading wisdom, directly reflecting the light beam, the enlightenment theme. Camblin seems to be layering these ancient frameworks to enrich the meaning.
So the synthesis of these hexagrams in relation to Forrest Prince suggests this deep, transformative illumination achieved through dedicated artistic and spiritual practice.
Oh, exactly. And the resonance with Lao Tzu's teaching in the I Ching. The principle that the more one helps others, the more one ultimately benefits oneself. It feels relevant here. Forrest Prince, as a public artwork with these spiritual undertones, becomes an offering, a beacon for others seeking meaning beyond the material.
It emphasizes that finding truth isn't about withdrawing from the world,
No.
but perceiving it with a fundamentally transformed perspective, an invitation to move beyond the self, surrender to something larger, art, spirituality, love.
The constructed yet radiant heart visually reinforces that idea, that devotion, consistent practice are essential on this path. True vision, Camblin seems to suggest, isn't just looking outward, but dissolving the self into a broader cosmic understanding.
It really prompts you to consider the structures we build in our own lives, doesn't it? Are they helping illumination, or are they barriers?
Precisely. And his work seems to consistently pose these kinds of introspective questions. Now let's turn to the books themselves. Zen and the Art of Enlightenment and the Art of Everything. The Art of Everything is described as this fascinating dialogue between visual art and philosophical inquiry, finding profound meaning in the ordinary through his sketches.
Mundane things, right? Traps, tattooed arms, a frog. They become, as described, paradoxes made visible, visual prompts for deeper thought.
More than just representational drawings, they function almost like visual riddles, one review noted. Exploring illusion, vanishing acts, various traps, literal and metaphorical, like fear, time, the self. Each image tells a story, invites thought.
Sounds like these books deliberately offer questions, riddles, rather than definitive answers, much like those Zen koans we mentioned.
Exactly. And Zen and the Art of Enlightenment, Volume 1 takes this further, reframing major art movements. Realism, Impressionism, Expressionism, abstract art through the lenses of Zen and the I Ching, emphasizing intuition, interconnectedness, change.
Within that framework, Camblin's own work appears as this blend of abstract forms and symbolic motifs, merging ancient wisdom with modern art, acting as a portal to heightened awareness.
It's about actively engaging the viewer. Contemplation, self-inquiry. The cyclical nature of his artwork, as discussed, mirrors the impermanence of our own internal landscapes, constantly shifting.
So interpretation becomes a personal dialogue. Images as metaphors, not instructions.
Right. All geared towards awakening that deeper, intuitive understanding, allowing submerged feelings, insights to surface. And Volume 2 of Zen and the Art of Enlightenment is described as a more direct guide, discovering enlightenment through art and language, really challenging conventional perception.
The illustrations in that one are called strange, humorous, and unsettling.
Yes, again, serving that koan-like function, disrupting a habitual linear thought. The book itself becomes a meditation tool, fostering everyday enlightenment, finding beauty in absurdity, accepting impermanence.
It's about cultivating inward focus, prompting questions, inviting self-inquiry.
Precisely. Emphasizes slowing down, engaging with ambiguity, multiple meanings, reconnecting with wonder, reflective thought. Enlightenment not as one big event, but a continuous unfolding in moments of stillness, curiosity.
It sounds like both books are really tangible extensions of his core philosophy in art.
Definitely. And then you get these really insightful perspectives from people who knew him. Pete Gershon aptly calls him that mystical trickster figure ripe for rediscovery.
Right. George O. Jackson Jr. saw his art as a gateway to experiencing art itself in its purest form, recognizing Camblin's striving for purity, excellence.
His close friend, Earl Staley, who learned so much from him, described him as this incredibly gregarious storyteller, bursting with creativity, exuberance, but also romantic, endearingly flawed, human.
That really brings him to life, doesn't it?
It does. Penny Serling highlights his insatiable curiosity, his love for collaborations, leading to lively discussions, arguments, lots of laughter, paints a picture of a very engaged, passionate individual.
Carolyn Farb remembers him as a true free spirit, one of Houston's old masters, noting the autobiographical nature of his art, his Big Owl painting reflecting sheer joy in creation.
And the Southwestern Historical Quarterly Review of Rollin's biography commends its balance, exploring his art alongside his personal life, offering a more complete picture.
Which leads us to Earl Staley's personal reflection. It's so moving.
Yeah.
He talks about their shared studio, B&E Productions, the projects, Camblin's later reclusive period, and the profound, enduring impact Camblin had on Staley's own art. You really feel the depth of their connection, the sense of loss.
It adds that crucial human dimension, reveals the deep personal connections, complexities shaping his life and work. The fact he later withdrew only reinforces that enigma we started with.
It's all incredibly compelling. This whole journey through Bob Camblin's world, through his own enigmatic words, his art, the perspectives of those who knew him, it really offers this rich, multifaceted tapestry of ideas. It definitely delivers on that promise of gaining knowledge quickly but thoroughly. I've certainly had several of those aha moments.
Absolutely. Camblin's work encourages a fundamental shift in how we perceive things, doesn't it? Fostering a willingness to embrace paradox, question assumptions, seek deeper meaning in everyday details. That, in essence, mirrors his whole artistic and philosophical exploration.
And his own journey from traditional training to that nomadic, fiercely independent freedom, constantly experimenting with style and meaning, it resonates with that desire for multiple perspectives.
Right.
And by focusing on these really impactful ideas, moments, it avoids feeling overwhelmed by just, too much information.
Precisely. So as we bring this deep dive into the fascinating, somewhat elusive world of Bob Camblin to a close, maybe consider this.
Okay.
What is your own mystic switch? What unexpected connections or intuitive nudges guide your personal understanding of the world you're placing in it? And how might embracing a bit of that perfectly average perspective allow you to appreciate the subtle wonders on both the known and unknown sides of your own life?
That's a great question to ponder.
It feels very much in keeping with the spirit of Bob Camblin, doesn't it? Leaving you with something to contemplate long after our conversation ends.